Hello, everybody. This is another impromptu live stream, and I think I got it right this time. So I hope you'll get to receive invitations and messages, etc., etc. And I'm going to wait a few minutes, see if anybody shows up, and then I'll start reading a book. It's raining here right now, and the book I'm going to be reading, the first chapter is Volume 1, MK Tech Invasion and Mind Control, the technology of invasion, control, reading, and torture of the mind that will change humanity forever. And this guy's got a really long name. It's Filipe, Saboya, de Santa, Cruz, Abreu. And I'm just going to wait a little bit. It's raining here in Kentucky. It's very temperate. It's in the 60s. My eyes are extremely, extremely itchy. They've been targeting my eyes since the middle of May, and it's starting to concern me. I think I'm going to go back to the eye doctor and get some eye drops or something. But welcome. I see one person. Welcome to the channel. I'm going to be reading a book, and both of my cameras are filled, so I can't record on my cameras. I'm having a really hard time even deleting information because it's not even allowing me to offload or delete programs. So there is something incredibly wrong because it's happening to both phones. So I know these criminals, they don't want me recording them. That's okay. I've got a new camera that arrived today. I've got to figure out how it works. Charge up the battery. I have to figure out which buttons do what. And then I'll try it out tomorrow when the rain stops. Welcome. I see 3 people. If you can hear me, just say hello in the chat. I can see who you are. This is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading. I'm going to be reading the first chapter or so of a book that I recently received. It's called MK Tech, Invasion and Mind Control. It's really interesting so far. I mean, I like what can I say? Do I like the subject matter? No, I don't like the subject matter, but it's really important that we understand and learn about this technology because it's here to stay. Especially if you're a targeted person, you're obviously aware of this. This is taking over your life. It's taking over other people's lives, but there are so many people out there that are clueless. Hi. You got rid of your message, huh? I didn't see your message, Battle for Your Brain. But I can see you. Terrific. I can see you, which is really good. I can see you, but I don't see your message. It says message retracted. So either YouTube got rid of it. Hi there. Thank you. Hi. Battle for Your Brain. Yes. Hello. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. So I've got this new book, and I haven't even looked through it yet. Usually when I get a new book, I get really weird about these things. I'll just open the book, like I'll randomly open it, like to the middle or something, or to the end, and wherever I open the book, that's where I'll start. That's where I'll start reading. So usually it's like a synchronicity thing, where like the universe is telling me, okay, this is where you need to this is where you need to start reading. And ironically, I just did it while I'm on the live with you. And I opened it up to a chapter or whatever that says, Waking Up the Target by Synchronizing with Dreams. Well, I don't know. They're not waking me up at all. They don't wake me up. They just put me to sleep. And I'm not getting any dreams. They steal them all from me. So it's raining here in Kentucky. And I don't know if you saw my short video from yesterday. It was awful, just awful. I had to kill a snake. It's just horrible. But fortunately, my guineas, my crazy teenager birds, circled it and alerted me. I was in the house and I hear them cackling. And then I hear them making sounds that I wasn't really familiar with. And one of them was a hen that was cackling, and it didn't sound like she was laying an egg. It didn't sound like the roosters were bothering her. It just sounded completely different. So I walked out there and I see them all staring at something like in a circle. And then I look down and there is a snake, a blackish snake with all kinds of little patterns on it, all coiled up. And it's like, oh no. It's like, I don't want to deal with this. You're thinking about dream manipulation. Isn't that odd? I just opened this and now I just closed it up. I just opened it to whatever and it said targeting. Here it is. Waking up the target by synchronizing with dreams. And what page is this? 173. I just did that now. That's actually not where I'm going to start, but maybe if I get through the first chapter, because it's really interesting the way this book is organized. I'll just read you briefly how it's set up. First of all, the name of the author. Hi, Paris. The name of the author. Get this name: Filipe Saboya de Santa Cruz Abreu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names. So the book was originally published, the first edition, in October 2019, and then it was republished in 2021. So it's fairly new. But with technology, the technology is moving so fast that even these few years, it's probably out of date already. And actually, this is the book that I have 2 copies of. I just have to, when I have time, I have to read about YouTube's guidelines for a giveaway. So now I have 2 of these books, because the first book, they just kind of threw it in the box. Some of the pages were bent back. I mean, of course, they're fine now, but it's like, I don't want to get a new book with pages folded back. So I contacted them immediately. Rather than send them back the book, they told me to keep it and sent me a new one, like right away. So I don't need 2 of these books, so I will give one of them away. And so far, it seems like a really cool book. This author is Brazilian. And there was a translator for the book because he actually wrote the book, I guess, in Brazilian. And it was translated. The book design is by Rubens Lima. And I'm going to move toward, oh, he's got a website. Okay, let me, the website is www.invasionandmindcontrol.com. I didn't even realize it. I haven't been to the website yet. Let me type this in here for you guys. 1 second. Let me just, I can just get a bookmark here. The title is MK Tech, Invasion and Mind Control, the technology of invasion, control, reading, and torture of the mind that will change humanity forever. And then in a little bubble here on the cover, it says MK Ultra 2.0 experiments in the 21st century are included. Oh, well, no, you can't see me. Thank goodness you can't see me, because I could hardly see myself because they've been torturing me. My eyes are dripping, they're tearing. It's horrible. I've got radiation poisoning in my eyes. So that's usually the way I do my lives, because it's late at night and I'm a hot mess. So, and plus I'm just going to be reading anyway. Let me see here. 1 second. So the website is, let me just move it here. Let me just type that in for you guys. The best thing for my eyes is when I take a bath, when I take an Epsom salt bath and baking soda. It seems that that mixture with a towel on my eyes really, really helps. And then I use an eye cover when I go to sleep at night, which is an EMF eye cover. But it doesn't matter. These criminals, they're like their technology is off the charts. And again, they've been doing this since May, and it's really concerning for me. It's very concerning. It it was starting to get better, but after I did that interview with Richard Moore, they really got on me again. But that's okay. In another couple of weeks, we'll move on to the Kentucky organized crime network. So let me just type this in here. It's www.invasion and mind control.com. So that's the website that's the official website associated with the author of this book. I haven't been to the website yet, um, so I'm just going to start reading. So I'm reading a chapter 1. What is thought and how do we think? And let me get over there now. What is thought and how do we think? I think, therefore I am. Rene Descartes, which is a philosopher. Since the beginning of mankind, humans have attempted to understand how the world around them works, in what context we fit into, and how we establish the connection between reality and the brain. The brain, in turn, interprets all information and synthesizes it in a model of the external world so we can understand it internally, and which generates profound questions about the existence and the way we coordinate and organize this information. From the 19th century onwards, the separation of thought and consciousness, the continuous dynamic flow of ideas, judgment, concepts, amongst others, was created. Even though there was still no comprehensive theory in the 20th century that managed to conceptualize the reason for thinking the way we think, some divisions were established by several authors, such as subjectivity, which refers to personal experiences, judgment, which is the process of establishing relationships between concepts, and the content, which is thinking about something, which is the content itself. We generally don't think about the particulars of the cognitive processes that create thoughts or how they work. On a daily basis, we can only use the resources offered by the brain to communicate, to reason, to establish relationships between the abstract and subjective concepts that use memory and deal with external stimuli from the environment. But after all, what is thought? Thought is a brain activity that is structured in language and correlates the individual with himself and with others and the environment. It is an intellectual activity that brings into existence the meaning, the understanding of information, and the organization of external stimuli that we receive at all times, be it visual, auditory, or tactile stimulus. It can be argued that it is a product of the mind that arises through rational activities of the intellect or by abstractions of the imagination, thus helping us to form consciousness. It's the capacity to conceive, combine, and compare ideas. To think is to dialogue, to converse, to ramble, to use the senses in an internal way in a series of rational operations such as analysis, synthesis, comparison, generalization, and abstraction. We think by seeing internal images, hearing sounds, or speaking internally. The process involves a series of neural networks that together build the thought that later can be communicated through speech, writing, or sign language. Yes, it does get hard to think sometimes, especially with so many interruptions. So many. Like, I remember when I was growing up, if I started thinking a thought or started to think about something that I wanted to do. I mean, of course, I wasn't targeted yet, but I never had a cell phone with bells going off. On my cell phone, if I receive a text message, I hear a ding. Sometimes I get prank phone calls, or sometimes even get prank text messages. You get another ding, and sometimes I'll receive a notification if I receive a message through Telegram or through something else. So throughout the day, you hear these little dings that go off from your phone that automatically draws your attention to something else and away from what it is that you were doing and thinking. And that's what these criminals do too. When you are deep in thought, they know it. Especially if you're remotely neural monitored. When you're deep in thought, they want to interfere with that. They'll honk the horn. You'll have a moron drive by. Um, they'll set up an explosive in your driveway. Um, they'll send you, a prank text message or something like that. So anyway, say today, the concept of thought structure has become broader and at the same time more specific than in the past. It's organized into logical, rational thinking, which consists of a flow of ideas, symbols, and associations directed to an object through attention. It encompasses the process of judgment, understanding, reasoning, and anticipation of facts. The main intellectual components of thought are then divided into concepts, judgment, and reasoning. Concept is a purely verbal scheme that encompasses in a single mental operation the relationship between a species and genus. It consists of the abstractions of memory derived from the repetition of a constant stimulus associated with the denial of unnecessary stimuli, separating the fundamental and circumstantial through generalizations and abstraction of objects. Judgment is the most complex product of the intellect. It makes use of logic to establish associations between different concepts. It is the result of the individual's judgment of objective reality. Through internalized beliefs and associative processes, we evaluate the sensory data in order to position us in the world. Logical thinking leads to judgment, and the relationship between judgments constitutes reasoning. It oscillates between abstract and fantasy thinking and no determined direction. There is, in fact, no concept considered the most accurate for the definition of thought. It can be said that thinking is the recognition of coherent flow of ideas that occur naturally and effortlessly. And of course, with targeted people, our thoughts are always interfered with. And when they're hitting you with a radiation and vibrations and putting you to sleep and stuff, it's very interfering. Within this comprehensive philosophical concept that is thought, we can recognize two distinct types that correlate in order to create meanings, which are part of the composition of thought. They're called vocalized thought and visual thinking. There can be thought only with images. However, there are no vocalized thoughts without language. The complexity of thought embraces several areas of the brain. So, in order to delimit its scope, we're going to focus on two different types of thinking: those based on images, which is visual memory, and vocalized thoughts, which essentially depend on the language learned and the word. To understand how mind control technology, MK Tech, works, we have to pay attention to the cortical dynamics that generate these thoughts. In order to mainly understand how vocalized thought and visual thinking work, we cannot dissociate or study language separately and its influencing power in the rest of the cortex, as well as its importance in these specific processes. Visual thinking is also associated with language and words. However, vocalized thoughts depends essentially on the language. So let's start thinking about these concepts to understand how this terrible technology works. So let's see. Main goal is to yes, exactly. That's exactly right. About yes. So Max Williams, who's a long-term TI, he's actually in his 80s now. And I read an article that he wrote about there being two different types of V2K. The one that you hear and the one that you don't hear. Hi, Tasha. Welcome. so, so the V2K that you hear, you're being interrupted through language, the vocalized thoughts, the kind that people with tinnitus get that get put to sleep. They get the different kind. They get the wait, let me see. Oh, well, thank you so much. I thought I looked horrible. I was exhausted. I didn't get to wash my hair. My eyes were tearing from being radiated since May. Like they were starting to get better. And then that day, they were like really on me. But thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so there are two different types of V2K. The kind that you hear, which is the vocalized, you hear the vocalized words, the vocalized thought. And then there, what is it? And then, uh, which is associated with words. And then it goes to say here that the vocalized thoughts depend on language. So he says, what is language? Language is an intellectual competence that doesn't depend on physical objects in the world, but on the exploration of auditory channels. It's a very complex cognitive and psychological function involving several elements such as social communication and intellectual activity. Language is the most used means of communication in society, capable of transferring information from the interlocutor to the listener. It may or may not be expressed through speech, and that the individual is in turn linked to the language. Once it's learned, it depends most of the time on silent activity. Language gives the individual the ability to talk about things and facts located remotely in space and time. It allows them to solve problems outside the momentary physical situation. Language conveys the concepts, judgment, and reasoning of thought. It's able to transmit emotions or a set of them and activate these same emotions in the receivers through a grouping of sound sequences, rhythmically organized and metrically constructed. In the Western world, reading depends on areas of the brain that process linguistic sounds. In the Eastern system, ideographic reading depends crucially on the centers of the pictorial materials. Japanese, for example, have both syllabic and ideographic reading systems, thus housing both reading mechanisms. Some linguistic mechanisms are located in scattered regions of the brain. So language production depends on adequate processes of all the gnostic functions of the brain, among which hearing is the most important of all to them. Thought involves language and vision. As far as the blind are concerned, smell, hearing, and touch are their vision. Another way of describing this process is the so-called vocalized thought. Vocalized thought is an important structural function of language that is preceded by initial language learning during childhood and develops along with it concurrently for the rest of your life. Vocalized thought can be described as a silent language confined to the brain regions and specialized in this function that is confined through speech, writing, or sign language. Thus, we have no way of disassociating word, language, vocalized thought, and visual thinking, since the word has the associative component of the image. Okay, so the word associates with the image. So, to get an idea of the complexity of the neural network involved from reading to vocalized thought, we're going to follow the process that begins in the so called fovea. The fovea centralis is a 1 millimeter in diameter and is located in the center of the retina. It has a cone and a photoreceptor cells that capture light and transform it into electrical impulses, which are decoded by specialized areas of the brain. They have sufficiently high resolution and about 7 megapixels to recognize the details of letters. Hi, everybody. Hi, Stephen. Yes, yes, I've heard when Max wrote this little article, he said that the V2K that you don't hear is actually worse because you don't know what they're programming you with. You don't know what they're saying to you, that it's on a subconscious rather than conscious level. So it can be incredibly damaging. And they usually do that when they put you to sleep, but it could be all day long. You know, people that have very strong tinnitus, like I have very loud tinnitus, very loud tinnitus, and it creates like a fatigue. That's the only way I can describe it. And then because of that, they will knock me out with radio frequencies. But let me see what you just said here. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed the interview with Mr. Moore. There's going to be another one. We might collaborate on one or two more. I mean, he asked me off camera, for another interview on two more topics. One I'm still going to think about. One I'm going to think about, and one is definitely going to be about the criminals here in Kentucky because we can't let them off the hook, right? There were a lot of things I actually wanted to say in that interview to validate that the Manalapan Police Department are criminals. They were sued by the ACLU and the ACLU won. They were actually sued by their own police officer for targeting him. And actually, what was outlined in the lawsuit was literally the program that we all experience. They ordered him for a mental health exam. They took away his firearms. They called him an enemy of the state. They lied about him. They defamed him. It was a whole thing. Like, it was so detailed in his lawsuit. Oh, are you gonna play? Let's see. Okay, I'm probably gonna have to look at that on the chat replay. Yes, I get tinnitus is ringing in the ears. Yeah, tinnitus is ringing in the ears. Now, some people will get like a little bit of ringing in the ears. Like sometimes if you go to a concert, let's say, and the concert is very, very loud, and you're listening to that for like 3 hours, and then you leave the concert, you may have some ringing in the ears after that, but it usually goes away. But for targeted people, almost every targeted person has ringing in the ears. Sometimes it's a lower volume, sometimes it's a high volume. Sometimes it stops for periods of time. Oh, I have the lawsuit. I have a copy of the lawsuit. Of course I do. Of course I do. And in fact, when the police officer sued the chief of police and the township and stuff, it was posted online. And Romola D back then, she had a news break, and she was very interested in the lawsuit. And we read part of it during her news break, and I believe it's actually still on her website. Everyday Concerned Citizens. Um, I don't think the lawsuit is online anymore, but I do have it. I have the lawsuit. Like I said, the ACLU sued them several years ago and won the case. Oh, but more recently, one of their finest is one of those P words. Um, the P word. The ones that like underage girls. Yeah, they've got one of those finest right there. He has a penchant for like 16-year-old girls. Um, yeah, so you can actually find his photo, his stuff on New Jersey, the YouTube channel, New Jersey Exposed. No, no, the lawsuit has nothing to do with weapons. Nope. No, basically, he was an employee of the police department. So this is that he was let go for retaliation, whistleblower protection, all that stuff. But it clearly outlines the whole targeting process and how that chief of police, and it says this in the lawsuit, carried around folders on all of his police officers that contained dirt that he would use against them in the future. And I'm sure it just wasn't on his police officers. It was on people like me. He would like really went after the single divorced women in the neighborhood. Like he was a nutcase. So yeah. Well, no, there's nothing wrong with us. What's wrong with okay, I'm gonna tell you what they believe is wrong with us. We are not them. We don't think like them. Okay? These are psychopaths. The people that are controlling these programs, the scientists, the research scientists, the medical doctors, um, the high level intelligence agencies, the whistleblowers have come forward. They have left those intelligence agencies. You know, um, some of them were suspended, some of them were let go, some of them were fired. Because if you don't go along to get along, you're not one of them. You're not a psychopath, right? So I'm going to move on here. I'm going to move on to uh, okay, there is also the second type of thinking that basically depends on vision and the neural circuits responsible for memory. It's called memory of images or memory of the imagination, which is associated with the visual memory of the word. These are mental images which depend on the visual memory. I'm sorry about that. That's one of my alarms going off. They're visual thoughts that can abstract creativity and transcend time and space. And as a matter of fact, the human brain is continually creating mental images. This is one of the fundamental ways in which we orient ourselves to the world. The mental structuring of images allows the brain to create relationships among objects in the physical space that our senses can detect. And based upon these images, we choose how to interact with the world. So these criminals, they want to insert their images. They want to insert their images. Okay? They want to dissuade us, persuade us, move us away from our potential, what we're here to do. So he gives an exercise here, visualization exercise here. I'm not going to go through there. I want to read this. The electronic systems that form the mind control technology. I know. I would say that 98% of us did nothing wrong. And 72% of the people that are placed on these disgusting lists and programs are women. 72%. And now they're loading more and more children onto these programs. It's horrifying. It's so upsetting to me. With this predictive programming. Oh no, predictive policing. They want to set people up. Are you sure about what? Experiment. Yeah, everything's a big experiment. Like they need to experiment anymore. They have computer models. They can experiment on the computer models. They don't need humans anymore. They don't need animals or humans anymore. So chapter 2. The electronic systems that form the mind control technology. From now on, all technologies or modules that complement each other and form the mind control technology are going to be studied. The acronym MKTech is going to be used to designate the technology itself. The reason for choosing this acronym will be clearer in Chapter 4, Volume 2. Armed with the basic knowledge of how our complex brain creates thoughts, we're going to discover how unscrupulous people and groups devoid of any decency have long been using a set of technology unknown to most people to listen to the thoughts of the population and of specific individuals anywhere on the planet, remotely and non-invasively. Some terms that appear and are repeated throughout this book are going to be discussed. A person who becomes a hostage of this technology and is connected to the system by this weaponry is called, quote unquote, targeted individual, as well as victim, individual, or simply target. For each chapter that entails the new technology, we're going to use a chart that indicates which technology is going to be addressed within the entire MK Tech universe. This tends to facilitate the visualization of the subject that is going to be highlighted. In subsequent chapters, the technologies already discussed are going to remain visible until we have the complete picture of the entire system. So now this is a chapter 2.1, and it's EMR, which is electronic mind reading. EMR. I'm just reading a little bit of what you're writing here. Let's see. You must willfully consume the word of God. Turn to Jesus. Jesus said in his commandment, love God with all your heart, soul, and strength and mind. Gift cards, cars, women, money, but you can't buy honor. That's for sure. You cannot buy honor. The people who are honorable would never, when approached by somebody with a plastic badge or something to spy on your neighbor, they would never do it. It's just not something most people would do. Love is the only solution to these lies and fear. Yeah, it does feel like a TI witch hunt. Mass mania, mass formation psychosis that's driving the assimilation of this program. Well, and also, I mean, of course, you're obviously reading what's going on in the news and all these psyops and stuff, but it's creating such stress for the regular person. So many people are struggling now. Families are struggling, and they actually don't know what's going on. I don't live in Seattle. No. I live in Kentucky. I'm sorry. I live in Kentucky. I live in Kentucky. I lived in New Jersey. I originally lived in New York. I moved to no, I never lived in Seattle. I've never even been to Seattle. I've never been there. No, no. I lived in New York, New Jersey, and now in Kentucky. Well, absolutely, that's absolutely true. And you want to know something? Like I watch a lot of farming, gardening, prepper, homesteading channels and stuff. And some of those people are definitely targeted. There was one that I mentioned on my channel who I've been watching her for a couple of years, and there was just really bizarre stuff happening with her. And I remember writing in her comment section that I felt that she was a targeted person. She never responded, whatever. Well, just within the last month, she came out on her channel and told everybody that she became a target, that they were slandering her in this website called the Gossip Bakery, and she happens to be a Mennonite. um, the question is that you might be overreacting because your situation might seem hopeless. It just means your mind needs to be repaired. Well, you know what? You have to take control of your mind. I mean, these criminals, the criminal control. They think they're controlling everything because without technology, they are nobody. Without their technology, they're nothing. In fact, they're all little bunch of weenies because they can't even show their faces. So inside our minds, nerve cells are involved in a telephone conversation, so to speak. One talks to the other, and then the other talks to another one, and while the information is translated to each neuron that starts to listen to its neighbors, an increasingly complex electrical conversation begins. As the information is transmitted by specialized areas of the brain, it adds more content to the conversation with more and more data until it is demodulated by other areas. These areas interpret the specific electrical signals, giving meaning to this information and making the individual understand what coding means. As an external stimulus, a sound wave that reaches the ears goes through a series of processes until it becomes audible information for the listener. A bird singing, for example. These electrical conversations of neurons in certain key regions of the brain can be amplified, picked up by adjacent antennas, and sent back to a remote location where the advanced brain computer interface, which is BCI, brain computer interface, programs dismember these signals, amplify thoughts into mental images and vocalized thoughts. In this way, thoughts can be decoded and literally heard. Now it says meet EMR. In order to facilitate understanding, we're going to divide the electronic mind reading into two distinct sources of thought, as we've seen in chapter 1. So there's EMRV, like as in Victor, which is electronic mind reading vocalized. This subsystem, which is part of a complex scheme that uses a series of electronic devices to capture, amplify, and decode the content of the electrical signals from neural networks responsible for the vocalization of thoughts. This is the voice of the mind. Then there is EMRI, which is electronic mind reading images. So the first one is vocalized, and the second one is images. This is a subsystem which is part of a complex scheme that uses a series of electronic devices to capture, amplify, and decode the content of electrical signals from neural networks responsible for the mental images or visual memory of thoughts. Among the technologies involved in the mind control technology, the electronic reading of thoughts can undermine the social, cultural, and economic models of modern society, as it is capable of the unthinkable, of making people question whether it's really possible for this type of device to exist today. Unfortunately, the answer is yes. It's already reality, and it's being widely used under the table for several purposes. Most of them are obscure. So remember, this book was written in 2019. We're now 2014, halfway through, and the technology, I'm sure, has advanced exponentially. All of this happens because the technology completely violates what is most confidential, sacred, and private in human beings, and what differentiates mankind from animals: our thoughts. This technology is able to hear vocalized thoughts and see mental images created by the brain. So when you and I are visualizing something, these criminals are seeing that. They're seeing what we create. They're seeing what we visualize. They're seeing our creative process. It looks like an episode in a science fiction TV show, but it's the reality to which we're exposed today. Everything that the target thinks is amplified from their brain and captured by a set of electronic equipment such as radio antennas, microwave satellites, and adjusted radars in a remote, non invasive way. Sophisticated programs translate this neural electrical activity into a human readable format. To the people who will hear and see this thought on a screen using the advanced brain computer interface, everything happens in fractions of a second. The individual doesn't even realize that they're having their thoughts stolen. Hi, Clint. It gets so confusing because I know you all guys, you people who email me. So I associate with your name with your email address, and then when you're in a chat and you've got a different name, it's like it just gets so confusing. Like so many targeted people have alter egos, have so many different names to escape these criminals. Among the technology involved in mind control, the electronic reading of thoughts can undermine the social, cultural, and economic models of modern society. All of this happens because the technology completely violates. I read that already. 1 second. Let me just scroll down here. Okay, we read that. Okay. The individual doesn't even realize that they're having their thoughts stolen. As we're going to deal with these terms throughout the book, it's worth stressing that people who have their brains captured, kidnapped, or connected to these weapons and their thoughts are heard by others inside their heads are known as targeted individuals, as well as victims, individuals, and simply targets. The electronic mind reading, EMR, has several practical features such as espionage, thought hacking, information theft, and surveillance. When it says information theft here, that's intellectual property theft also. The convenience is considerable for those who are operating the technology. It's possible to connect it from a remote place thousands of miles away from the target and spend hours, days, weeks, months, and even years stealing information directly from the victim's mind, even if the target is physically located in another country. That, in and of itself, is truly disturbing. This should be a punishable crime. Theft is already a crime in every state, country. It's a crime in other countries. Well, this is literally a theft. As this technology is unknown to the general public, the initial impact of having thoughts heard by others, of your cognitive processes becoming public without your consent, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, is extremely disturbing. The change in the way of dealing with the lives of people affected by this weapon is very clear. Usually, the individual starts to control what they will think before they actually think it. It seems like a paradox, but it's not. Although this process is extremely difficult and requires extensive training, it is feasible. One could say that this weapon is the embodiment of the violation of all fundamental human rights. And as we discover what is possible to hear the thoughts and see the mental images of other human beings, we know that we are no longer able to keep any secret. The only place that was believed to be safe is no longer safe, as unauthorized people will invade, indiscriminately hacking other people's minds and stealing information and creative thoughts without any physical contact with the target. The inevitable popularization of this technology will imply a series of consequences that we're not ready to deal with at the moment. Most of all, the foundation of an organized democratic society will crumble when this technology becomes effectively popular. The essence of the technology itself violates all human guaranteed by the Constitution regarding the individuality and privacy of every human being. However, the aggravating factor is the method in which this invasion is carried out. They're using a natural physical phenomenon capable of traveling billions of years of light in the universe with no medium necessary to propagate at a constant speed, as if nothing is in the way, such as walls, people, animals, stone, or even concrete. They are electromagnetic waves. Waves mostly invisible to humans are present in everything in the universe, from atomic connections in your body to the way your brains make neural communication possible, sending and receiving commands to the entire body. And when properly modulated and transmitted, these waves interfere with the electrical functioning of the brain, leaving most people on the planet helpless. Since electronic tracking devices are extremely expensive and required advanced knowledge to use them correctly, most are also inefficient to detect this complex attack. The bad truth is clear. Electromagnetic waves adjusted at a certain frequency and power in the process of interaction between these waves are able to interact directly with the brain's bioelectricity. The frequency used to perpetuate neural amplification and invasion scheme are the same used by electronic wireless communication equipment on which we are deeply dependent these days. Wi Fi technology, telephone, internet, radio transmission, television, and communication in general. It is very difficult to conceive that this type of activity is possible and is happening today. I'm going to enumerate and explain the harmful consequences of this technology when discriminately used. There are countless imminent negative consequences of remote reading of another person's thoughts, including affecting the sense of, wait, I can't read this, the sense of self and specific intellectual domains of the people involved. Yeah, this is huge identity theft, creative theft. Let's say you want to write a book and you start taking notes about your book. You're not discussing it with anybody. You have a topic, you've been doing the research, you've got notes taking, and somebody is monitoring your brain and stealing your idea for this book. It's certainly possible. So, now observe how a commonplace act within the most intimate place of our being causes serious problems when violated. Imagine that you just turned on your cell phone or your computer and decided to access your emails or your social networks. You sit down, you turn to a page, and the screen displays login and password. You're confident that your data is protected because, in addition to your computer having the most modern firewall and antivirus of the present time, the site has strong encryption. So people will hardly be able to decrypt your data while you navigate the vastness of the internet. When you start typing your username and password calmly, uh, without even realizing that you've given it before, you mentalize your password and later send the commands to turn the thought into action for the motor cortex to do the complex job of moving your hands and fingers to the computer or cell phone and enter the password. The initial thought has already been stolen by the hackers' technology at the lightning speed, using only the first module of the technology that makes up MK Tech System. So now I'm going to log off here. Let's see the show. Um, let me see. Let me just read some of your follow the leader, follow your neighbor, flocking behavior, then swarming to attack an adversary or other target. Everyone should read this PDF by the RAND Corp. You want me to do a show on this document on swarming? I'm telling you, Tia, telling you, it's fascinating. Is that the document you sent to me? I haven't had time to read it. I would get workplace mobbing trying to make a reality show with them forcing women on me to stir drama. Yeah. Yes. Go to the ends of it. Okay. Yeah. What I've been finding since they've been targeting my eyes, like right now, I'm wearing my reading glasses. I don't usually have to, but because my eyes are tearing so much, it's um, it's become difficult to read some things on the computer screen. And of course, there's the light of the computer screen that's bothering my eyes with all this radiation and stuff. Yes, okay, so it's boring at the beginning, read towards the end. I will. I have it saved. I actually started to read it, and just have other things to do. When I do those interviews, the interview with Richard Moore, like it was about an hour and a half. But before the interview, we do a lot of chatting, via email, via text message, via Telegram, talking before it goes live. So before you know it, It's already been 3 hours, and 3 hours takes up a lot of my day. I've got so many things to do. Oh, you know what a Telegram is? Oh, it's an app. It's a messenger app that's really private. It's not like it's not like Facebook. I do not have Facebook Messenger. Do not have Facebook Messenger. What was it? Great book, pure truth. It's our nightmare. If you don't know, you don't know. It's like say, happy V2K birthday. My Telegram is my name, Lorraine Valente. I see. I installed Telegram like 2 years ago, and I was using it a lot then. And then it was just getting to be too distracting to me, so I deleted it. I got rid of the app. It was taking up my time, my space on my phone. But then Richard says that he could send me some things like our conversation is more private through Telegram than it is via email, Google, or even on the phone. So and then when I signed up for Telegram, I see like a lot of people that I know have it and sent me a hello or whatever, like my cousin did. My cousin had a Telegram I didn't even know, sent me a hello. But so yeah, so in this book, now on page 31, it goes on to hacking profiles and passwords from computers, websites, and systems. So this is serious. So if they're reading your thoughts. So so you've got the thought before you take the action. So let's say you're on a website and you have to insert your password. You generally have the quick thought first, but before you actually type your password, these criminals have already stolen it. They already have your password before you ever type it. So anyway, I'm going to save this. Oh my goodness! And then okay, so there are a couple of pages on this hacking of your profiles, passwords from computers, websites, and systems, and then it goes on to the intellectual property theft. And this one is so serious because you can lose so much money with intellectual property theft. Then there's the theft of confidential information, theft of credit card and PIN numbers, ATM withdrawals without biometric fingerprint technology. Then there's the end of interpersonal relationships, the end of privacy, the end of rights to free thinking. Horrible, just horrible. And you know what? Like you said, most people don't. They're not even aware of it. They don't even know. Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. Like it's really interesting that you say that because back in when I was back in New Jersey, now this is little 5.5 years ago. I I didn't really know what was going on. I knew my house was being broken into. I knew they were getting in. I knew they were stealing from me, moving things around, vandalizing and stuff. One day, I wrote a sign and I posted it on my back door, facing inside my house. And I wrote something like "Karma is going to get you" or "Carmageddon." Um, that I can't wait to catch you. Not even knowing that they're monitoring everything that I'm doing, and that it didn't matter what I did. It didn't matter how many cameras I had. They had the technology to hack every one of them. I actually even put a trail camera in my bedroom facing the entrance, the door. And when I came home, they had moved the trail cam. so it was no longer facing the door. Yeah, yes, signal jammers, exactly. I wish I didn't know either, but this is what we're targeted. I didn't know for years. I didn't know for years. I didn't even have a term for what it was. I didn't know until 2017. Oh, well, good for you. Now, I mean, everybody that's in the chat, do you all have YouTube channels? This screen, all of a sudden the screen is making weird coded noises. Well, I don't know if it was the last live or the live before. It was the live before that where everybody was saying that they hear this weird man's voice. Well, the whole time that I'm recording, I don't hear the weird man's voice. But when I end the live and then go to edit, and I listened to the live for the first time, I heard that man's voice in the background. It was like mumbling something underneath the video. It was almost like a V2K or something. It was some kind of subliminal nonsense. It was horrible. It goes green and then freezes. That could possibly be on your end. I don't see anybody else mentioning it. Do you follow? No, I don't know who that is. Non-political parties. I don't know who that is. No, I don't. I don't follow that person. Actually, before starting this live, I had to get myself in a good mood. So I start watching like ridiculous animal videos. I mean, animals. I'm telling you, they do the silliest stuff sometimes, and some of them actually accidentally speak. They actually can mimic some of their humans, mimic their words, and it's just so hilarious when a dog or a cat speaks a human word. You feel like you can hear people talking like their phone conversations passing through your body. Oh my. Hi, Krista. I have to apologize. I never know when I'm going live. I never know. I'm going to start doing lives on Saturdays, and the plus is now that it's getting darker earlier. My birds, they used to go in at 10 o'clock at night. It used to drive me nuts. Like those guineas drove me nuts. You couldn't find my telegram. Maybe you're spelling my name wrong. Let me put my name in the chat. 1 second. 1 second, guys. Let's see. You have chickens too? Okay, so what was happening like in the summertime? The chickens usually go in by like 9:30. But the guineas, they're like bad teenagers. They want to stay up late. And they were going in at 10:30. It was driving me nuts. Because then it isn't until I can get them in that I can come in and eat dinner, cook or whatever. So now that it's getting darker earlier, they're going in earlier. So they're all in by like 8 o'clock now, and it's like hallelujah. And then, yes, exactly. But it's going to get even better. It's going to get better because the colder it gets, then they're going to be in by 5:30. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, which one, Queen Comanche? I mean, I've got a couple of bitches that live down the block. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. There's one, the one, well, I was gonna say the big mouth. They both have big mouths, but the one who's on the neighborhood wars, I haven't seen or heard from her. But now the other one is taken over. She's harassed my worker, threatened him, called the sheriff on me, tells my worker, threatens him about cutting there and whatever. But how she's gonna call her brother-in-law, not her brother, her son-in-law, the sheriff. And it's like, he's not your damn son-in-law. Your daughter's not married to him. She just has kids with him. I'm so bad. I'm just so bad. But I think that's what some people do today. Young people, they just have babies and never get married. I don't know. I don't think that's a great idea. Oh, that's probably what it is. That's exactly what it is. In fact, when I signed up for Telegram, it automatically populated my contacts to locate them if they had a Telegram. So yeah, so you can type my name into your contact and then it'll probably pop up. That's exactly what happens. You have to add to your phone contact so that it pulls it up. So yeah, so she's on YouTube. Who's on YouTube? Who's Queen Comanche? Oh, she's on YouTube. Oh, let me check. 1 second. I don't know who that is. I don't think so. Unless she's doing it privately. Some of these cyber stalkers, they do it privately, and it isn't until one of you guys tells me that somebody's slandering me, like that gorilla creature. I had no idea at first. Somebody alerted me to him, and then he started harassing me directly. Fortunately, he's not bothering me anymore. Thank goodness. Let me see. Queen Comanche. I've never heard of that person. But there are so many YouTube channels. It's Now I found a YouTube channel. Now I would normally never subscribe to this channel. Um, I watched a or I should say, I listened to while I'm doing all my errands and stuff. This 3 hour video where this group of paranormal ghost seekers decide they're going to go to Bohemian Grove and do a documentary. They went undercover. They had all this amazing stuff that I've never seen before. Never seen it before. Never heard about it before. It was like, I'm thinking that if they find out, I mean, somebody's going to find out. They're going to like unalive this guy. These are young kids. These are young 20-something-year-olds that have got balls to be going over to there and going undercover and going out at night with a kayak on a lake. Oh, my phone's totally hacked. Absolutely. Both of my phones are hacked. She seems connected to Chief Handler. Oh, that Chief Handler. I mean, I blocked that person. As soon as I feel like somebody's a perp on my channel, I just block them. All right, let me just find this Queen Comanche. Let's see. Well, I looked for it in the search, and it's not coming up quickly for me. It's not coming up quickly. I'm getting like Native American stuff instead. I might have to scroll down a little further. Sometimes if I have a link to the channel, it's easier because I've looked for some channels and I just can't even find them sometimes. Oh, it's your TI playlist. Okay. Of your good videos. Okay. Yeah, might have they I don't know. I don't know if they've hacked my GPS. I've disabled the GPS on my phone, which absolutely means nothing because they can hack it. But I'll tell you what they did in New Jersey. I had hired a private detective, and we're having a phone conversation, he and I. And the criminals intercepted my phone and they turned on FaceTime. And what they did is they turned on FaceTime so that they could see his face. And we were both really startled. I didn't do it. They pinged my phone off the. Oh, well, that's possible. They probably do that when I drive into town, which is very rare. Although I'm long overdue. I've never seen that film. In the air? In the air? Micro nano sensors in the air? Is that what those trails are about? Is that what they're spreading? If it's in the air, that we're breathing it. And that they literally trick everything. I could see how that could be. Oh my goodness. Well, how do you get rid of it? Micro nano sensors. Then we just have to detox all the time. Right, it's smaller. It's we can't see it at all. You know what I noticed? I noticed something really interesting. I have a dehumidifier in my bedroom. Um, I live on the edge of a national forest, and when the sun goes down, it literally the house drips with water. It's extremely humid here. So I turn on this dehumidifier and it collects water in the bottom and I have to empty it. Whenever I empty it in my toilet, like once or twice, I see this dark, like circle around my toilet from the water that I'm dumping in there. It's sucking the humidity out of my bedroom, and they're probably sucking some kind of particles that are sprayed in my house too. Oh yes, no, they didn't FaceTime my perp. They FaceTimed the private detective I was going to hire. They wanted to see what he looked like. This was in New Jersey, and both of us were shocked. He said, "What?" He said, "Did you FaceTime me?" I said, "No, I did not do that." They hacked my phone. They wanted to see what this detective looked like. Now, I'm going to warn you guys about private detectives. Most of them have to do this. You know, when you hire a private detective, they're supposed to check in and report their surveillance to the local police department, which obviously negates the reason why you're hiring them. Yeah, I've heard that about BlackRock. Yes, they're one piece of the puzzle. Yep, one piece of the puzzle. You know, I was listening to, what was it? You know, I watch so many videos, it becomes overwhelming. Yeah, wow, that's huge. They can't spend that in this lifetime. But they were control freaks. Why would anybody want that much money? I mean, if I had that much money, I would give most of it away. Which is why these criminals think that like people like us are nuts. There's no reason to have that much money. You cannot spend it. Like, what's the purpose? Well, that's not good. They should not be owning a little piece of everything. From that kind of money, it sounds like they own a lot of everything. But yeah, BlackRock, Vanguard, there are a couple of other companies. They like own everything. How much they owe? Well, you know what? They have so many write-offs. It's incredible. They write off everything. I'm sure they pay their accountants a lot of money to get them the best tax write-offs. And of course, every one of them starts up some charitable organization. Some of them probably even start up their own churches, whatever, so they can write it off. I don't know. I mean, just how much can you buy? They probably receive a lot of government grants too. So that's like literally free money. You never have to pay it back. Wait. Mexico's president is married to the number 3 guy at BlackRock. Is Mexico's president a female? I'm confused. Or is it an arrangement like Obama and what's her name? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar. I don't. Honestly, I don't pay attention to half this stuff. So if there's anybody in the chat that wants to offer their written testimony, you can email me at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com. There is an individual who wants to provide me with their part 3 testimony. It was the person that provided the testimony that I entitled "When Pigs Fly." I did a part 1 and part 2, and it's extremely long. And right now, I don't have my phone. I should say that I don't have my phone. It's just it's not recording. It keeps telling me I have no space, even though I purchased 2 terabytes of cloud storage, and only a minute portion is filled. I still can't record on my phone. And the unfortunate thing is the iPhone store is so far away. I'm not going to be able to get there. Otherwise, I'd have them take a look at it. In Houston, oh my goodness. I saw that. In Houston, and tonight, I heard about a small town that has like 3,000 people just got an influx of like 1,000 invaders. And meanwhile, their primary factory is closing down. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to physically go to the Apple store. The Apple store for me here is like a little far away. I might have to do it because both of my phones are destroyed. I can't record anything. Negative. Can I do it through a chat on the phone? Oh, best really. I don't know where there is one locally to me. You have to understand, I live like in a very small town in a rural area. What is that? Apple Care Plus. What is that? I'm going to have to look that up. Really? Oh, okay. Well, that's a little bit closer. Insurance, $8 a month. Oh, well, I would do that. I would definitely do that. Really? Oh, that's really cool. I'm going to have to look that up. Because now it's been done to both of the phones, and this should not be. I've deleted so many apps. And then there are some apps like on the phone that I inherited from my mom. Um, it won't even allow me to delete or offload any apps that I don't need. That would free up so much space, and it's so bizarre. It's almost like somebody fixed something in or did something to the phone to not allow me to free up the space. Permissions. Okay, I'm going to open up my phone now and just check for a minute. So that would be in the settings. Let's see. Settings. Yeah, I can't even download any of the updates because I have no space left. Settings. Yeah, I'm looking at my apps here. I did offload some here. You know, there are some apps that it will not allow you to delete. There is an app that comes with the phone called Health. It won't allow me to delete it. Exactly. I can't delete some of these apps. I can't even offload some of them. It's really very annoying. It's very frustrating. And then there are some apps that I have that I want to use, like Safari, and it becomes so difficult to delete the history. You just can't even get into it, and it's taking up so much space. And my photos and stuff, I have it up. I have a ton of photos, but it's uploaded to my iCloud, which should free up all the space on the phone. But it keeps telling me I've got too many apps, and I'm looking. It's like I deleted all the apps, so it's a real problem. Oh wow. Well, I'm going to have to look this up. What is aloha? Oh, it's a browser. Okay. I use DuckDuckGo. Well, that doesn't happen to me, but I've heard other people say that. Okay, so the question is for anybody who doesn't see this question, and also for the chat replay. The question is, does anyone else's V2K prompt or bombard you with multiple words at the same time, often mixing negative and positive keywords and bombarding you simultaneously? Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's happening to me. I don't hear my V2K. Whatever it is that they're doing to me is subliminal and also put me to sleep. And they've stolen all my dreams. Like I don't remember my dreams anymore. Yeah, there are a lot of people that don't hear the actual voices. They just have the tinnitus and get bombarded at night, while they sleep. Everybody's got a different program. It's I mean, this whole program is just, when I think about what is happening, I know to me, to you, what people tell me. Like years ago, I found, even though the person that I was listening to sounded believable, I almost couldn't believe it because it wasn't happening to me. Until years later, it started to happen to me. And it's like, this is just off the charts. That nobody's doing anything about this. No politician, not Congress. I mean, what do you think Elon Musk knows about targeted people? Yeah, the gang stalking for some people is off the charts. For me, it's a lot of vandalism. I just a lot of hatred. Why do you say that? Why do you say that you're at the end of the program? I mean, some people are in it for a long time. I have that too. Holes in your shirts. I bought a new pair of pants and they cut a hole in the knee, in the armpits. I mean, that's disgusting. They cut holes in the crotch of my panties and my pants. They pull the seams down. Prayer works with remembering dreams. Is that true? Yeah, I mean, I would like to remember my dreams. I believe that they're stealing them. And also, I think part of the reason is my circadian rhythm is completely off because of one, putting me to sleep, and also not getting enough sleep. Do I believe any of this is paranormal? Well, I think some of it is witchcraft for sure. There's absolutely witchcraft, and I believe the combination of the use of energy. It may appear as if it's paranormal, but it's technology, in my opinion. I mean, how do you think that we can appeal to him somehow? I mean, he's like one of the richest men in the world, right? Or at least America. He seems to have some kind of a conscience. Although he did invent that Neuralink. I wonder if we would be able to appeal to him in any way. I mean, he's a father. He's got like a dozen children. Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, Elon. Oh, I see. I thought he had. I thought he. I've seen talks about the gang stalking, but there's not enough discuss. It's not just the gang stalking. It's just not just the community harassing people. There isn't enough discussed about the home break-ins, the poisonings, um, what they do to pets, the asset stripping, the real estate mobbing, and the experimentation. What they do to the physical body. It's horrible. They're just killing people. I think I saw that one with Greg Reese. I think I did see that one. Oh, well, that's good to know, Barrett Snow. Again, I think part of it is that my sleep patterns are completely off than they were in New Jersey. Like, I was never one to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm not an 8 hour a day sleeper, but 6 hours would be nice. Some nights I only get three. Okay, thank you, Max. Clint. Okay, yeah, it's better if you email me links and videos and stuff like that. This way, I have it. I can save it. I can get it on the laptop here. I could also open it up on my phone if I want to. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for. Well, the one thing, like, I've watched a lot of Elon Musk interviews and stuff, and although I don't appreciate some of the things that he does, that he invents and stuff, and the Neuralink really pissed me off. But he's not like the politicians. He's got some kind of conscience. He cares about family. He cares about children. He cannot stand. Uh, he's a strong believer in freedom of speech. He's not going to do what other people tell him to do. However, he absolutely receives government grants for his inventions. There's SpaceX. I'm sure it's tied to the Department of Defense somehow. Everything that he's working on, a lot of things that he's working on, except for like Twitter, X. Do you think I what? Well, I don't know. I think out of all the people that are out there, we might be able to appeal to him somehow. I don't know how. Get on his radar through his friends of friends. This is serious business. The weapons that are being used against us. These literally untraceable weapons. This is military grade stuff they're using on the population, on us. It's ridiculous. I mean, I can't believe what they're doing to my eyes. It's really distressing. But anyway, thank you everybody for joining in. I'm glad I got to read the beginning of MK Tech Invasion and Mind Control, the technology of invasion, control, reading, and torture of the mind that will change humanity forever. And let me just read the back here for you. I think we all at once imagine what it would be like if we could see and hear someone else's thoughts. Who never thought, I wish I knew what was going on in his mind, unquote. However, what we never imagined is that this could actually happen in our reality, not just in science fiction movies or in our own imagination. Get ready to embark on an intriguing subject unknown to the majority of the general public. A fact that will profoundly change human interactions and our democratic foundations. The possibility of remotely monitoring the electrical activity of the brain through the transmission and reception of electromagnetic waves which interact directly with the human mind of any individual on the planet. Thus, reading the content of thoughts, listening to vocalized thoughts, and seeing visual thoughts from visual memories at any time of the day and in any part of the globe becomes possible. This sets unique precedents with which we are not yet prepared to deal with as individuals and as a society. The greatest secret of humanity will be unveiled, and its consequences will be exposed in a deep analysis on this matter. A result of more than 7 years of advanced studies, I will take you to a reality that is difficult to adapt, which includes the end of cognitive privacy and the content of our thinking. And all of these events occur due to a high technology called mind control technology, MK Tech. Welcome to the best kept secret of the past 60 years. You will be amazed how reality can seem more exciting than fiction. So now the author here is Filipe Saboya de Santa Cruz Abreu, was born in Rio de Janeiro and pursues a career in computer science as a systems analyst developer. He graduated an undergraduate information systems program and completed the postgraduate program in computer forensics and cyber expertise. Since 2012, the author has been engaged in the study of psychotronic neuroelectronic technologies and their effects on the human mind. Elon owns BCI and satellite messing with us. Oh, okay. Yes, there is a cricket in the background. Yes. These criminals stick crickets in my house. They've been doing this for the last couple of years. Yep. Yes, I've noticed what they do. I have vinyl siding and they stick crickets in the vinyl siding. So they can't escape. They're stuck there until they die. And then at night, this is what they do. I hear them all night long. Yes, we're the guinea pigs for what will happen to everybody. So many people have said that. So many people have said that. But I do think that some of us are in this program as a revenge program. We pissed somebody off, somebody's envious, jealous. I know 3 women that divorced cops and they got stuck in the program. So, but anyway, thank you all for tuning in. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Let's see, what's today? Today is Wednesday? I don't even know what day it is anymore. Now it's the 18th. They beam B2K off the ones you hear. They pulse them. That's interesting. The technology is just so amazing. It's hard to believe, but the patents are out there. So anyway, thank you all. Remember, if anybody wants to donate to my homestead rescue, it's Freya's Cat Rescue. I've got PayPal and Cash App. We also have Chewy.com wish list. So anybody who doesn't want to donate but wants to donate food, pet food, always appreciative. But anyway, I hope everybody has a good night. And I'm going to sign off for now and love you all. And thank you for joining in.